presentation is on Irvine Gersch. Irvine is interested in the voice of the child and young person as well as mentorship and coaching of adults and children using spiritual and philosophical listening techniques. Irvine Gersch is a professor of education and child psychology at the University of East London. Following his first degree in psychology, he went on to qualify as a teacher and educational psychologist and complete a PhD on child behavior and school leadership. From a very young age, Irvin has worked with children. At his mid-teen, he worked with children with special educational needs. Despite his struggling years in school, he extraordinarily completed his first degree and went on to do master's and 4-year postgraduate course and became an educational psychologist. Ever since then, he has much published work on a variety of topics regarding educational psychology and his own experience with children and how educational psychology needs to change to be most relevant and helpful. A series of publications on conversating with children philosophically and believes that children can do many amazing things. We only need to harness their ideas. His series of card design games, The Little Box Big Question Believes, does that. To this, he has won many awards for distinguished contributions to professional psychology and also for distinguished contribution to educational and child psychology. Furthermore, he has successfully, with other leading psychologists, convinced the government and unions that a master's degree in educational psychology was not enough to give new psychologists an in-depth understanding of children. He believed that the current training did not equip them to really listen to children. Therefore, now an educational psychology training is a 3-year postgrad professional doctorate. During this process, he taught Irvine Gersch the process of change. After Gersch's master's degree, he worked as a junior psychologist at the London Borough of Waltham Forest, but later moved up to a principal psychologist role. He stayed there for over 26 years. He worked with schools, special schools, and unit clinics with social workers and alongside medical colleagues. At this role, he gathered much valuable and variety of information about children's psychological development and issues and special needs. What surprised Gersh the most were that only a few professionals asked the child or young person questions in a direct way regarding their personal thought, problems, causes, referral, assessment, intervention, and life itself. Instead, they carried out standardized tests, general assessments, and sometimes elicited children's attitudes. However, while working as a junior, Gersh was trained and influenced by Dr. Tom Ravenette, where he was creatively applying personal construct theory with his patients. Ravenette always started with asking, "How does the child see it?" When Gersh was working as an educational psychologist, he attended an annual conference run by the Association of Educational Psychologists. One of the events was a play written by child in local authority care called Barbara's Care Conference. The play dramatically and emphatically explained how children are left out while all the professionals are talking. No one is listening to the child while he is trying to speak, and he was being ignored while big plans were being made for them by adults or professionals. In education work, Irvin is a firm believer that the child must be at the center of things. Over the years, Gersch grew interest in attitudes about children's deeper meanings and the purpose they attach to their lives. He is influenced by the study of the very early Greek philosophers such as Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, and early mystical scholars. These ancient philosophers posed fundamental questions of each other such as why are we living on this planet? What is our purpose? What is the meaning of our lives? Educational psychologists have for many years been developing techniques for listening to children. The aim of the present research was to investigate ways of listening to the spiritual ways of children in order to develop questions that educational psychologists might use as part of the assessment repertoire. A study explored children's spiritual concepts such as their purpose for being on the planet and the meaning of their lives. The findings suggest that primary and secondary school children from mixed religious backgrounds can respond to spiritual questions in a clear way. In addition, most children believe that spiritual views influence how children behave. Further research is required to explore whether children's reviews of spiritual concepts are linked to learning and progress in school and in life. Overall, Gersch's work has made me believe that children are much smarter than we may think, as they are capable of answering what we might think are difficult, philosophical, and fundamental questions sensibly. Therefore, in my further study, I will be exploring the idea of putting the child at the center of everything.